Avon Resources Limited is a gold exploration company with significant projects in British Columbia, Saskatchewan, and the Yukon. Trading on the TSX Venture Exchange, symbol ABN, and the pink symbol ABN-AF. Surrounded by world-class gold deposits and mines, Avon's 23,000 hectares Forest Kerr Gold Project is located in the heart of the Golden Triangle in northwestern BC. For more information, visit us at avonresources.com.
Welcome to the Goddard Report. Comments made on the Goddard Report and TalkDigitalNetwork.com are an expression of opinion only. Here is Jim Goddard.
My guest is Sharon Noble, Director of the BC Coalition to Stop Smart Meters. Welcome back to the show, Sharon.
Hello, Jim. Thank you.
Sharon, the BC Human Rights Commission has made a decision that you're not very happy about. Can you explain what happened and why you're so distressed about it?
Yes, very briefly. There's a child who for the last 5 years has not been able to attend normal school. When he was 7, he started developing symptoms that were very unusual for a child. Major migraines, couldn't sleep, had night terrors. And after seeing a couple of doctors, and the doctors couldn't find anything that was wrong, the parent accidentally, or the grandmother, I'm not sure which, accidentally discovered that the school, the primary school, had just installed Wi-Fi modems. The kids at that school were not using computers yet, but the Wi-Fi modems had been installed anyway. And so the grandmother discussed this with the pediatrician, and the pediatrician suggested asking the school to turn the modems off and see if the headaches and all these other things went away. Really, with EHS, this is the electromagnetic sensitivity, which is like an allergy to electricity, to microwave radiation especially, and things like this. The doctor suggested that really the only way is to rule out the Wi-Fi, see if that was the cause. She asked the principal, because he don't use it at the school, if he would turn it off, and he refused. He said it would set a precedent. And being concerned, the grandmother pulled the child out of school for a few days, and his headaches went away. Took him back to school, he got them again. And the headaches were so bad that he was nauseous, he was vomiting, he was really, really sick. So she found another school without Wi-Fi, and she transferred him. This child has gone from school to school to school, trying to find one without Wi-Fi. And, over the last 5 years, even those schools had internet access via fiber optic cable, which in so many respects is superior. The schools have switched to Wi-Fi. So this grandmother was carrying the child as much as 40 kilometers away to be able to take him to a school without Wi-Fi. And then it got to a point where even that school had Wi-Fi. She asked every school board. She took the child to every neurologist. She took the child to doctors galore. There's nothing that can be done except to avoid exposure. And to be fair, some of the schools tried. They wouldn't turn off the Wi-Fi, but one of the last schools put him in a basement room where he wasn't exposed, but he was by himself for 5 hours a day. No teacher interaction, no interaction with his friends, nothing. Can you imagine a 10 or 11 or 12-year-old person sitting like that all day by himself? That's cruel. When she appealed, she could not get any school district to help. In fact, the school districts are refusing to even tell parents that Wi-Fi has potential health risks for their children. They will not tell them. They will not allow any discussion at school board meetings anymore. Anyways, the child is now homeschooled and is fine, is blossoming, but he's not with his friends. He's now 13 years old, and the limit interaction with his friends, his colleagues, his peers, which is so very important at this age, is minimal. And the grandmother started about 3 years ago legal action, and she went to the BC Human Rights Tribunal for help. This is a civil right issue. Every person every child has the right to an education. And she was asking for her grandson to be able to get an education like everyone else. And the Human Rights Tribunal was given binders, one thick binder with 54 studies, letters, and reports from experts from around the world about electrohypersensitive, about the dangers of Wi-Fi. And she thought for sure with her lawyer, who did an amazing job presenting this, they thought for sure that the Human Rights Tribunal would say that at least a portion of a school should be Wi-Fi free for people, because many people don't want their children exposed. Even if their children are not sensitive, they don't want their children exposed to this stuff for many reasons. For social, for addiction purposes, kids get addicted to this stuff. For health reasons, for hacking, for many reasons, parents don't want their kids exposed. In fact, about 4 years ago, the BC Teachers Federation passed a resolution saying that they wanted an option where at least one school in each district would be Wi-Fi free, so that teachers who don't want to teach in a Wi-Fi environment would have the choice. There are many teachers who are disabled by this. Well, the Human Rights Tribunal decision came back saying no. And in fact, the way this person, you think it's a panel, it's really one person. And this person's name is Walter Wilkoff. One person is the panel. Not only did he say no, he made it sound as if this grandmother and the mother are being abusive. He said things like, and he lied. He just said that they should be taking the child to a doctor. The child has been to doctors, many doctors, and the grandmother provided the doctor's reports. In addition, she provided a binder with these 54 reports, letters, and studies, along with an index, along with a description of each one. And in the decision, which I think this is appalling, this panel, this lawyer, said that the articles that were produced, the 54 documents, were too technical. And
well, why didn't he just call in an expert in that field to interpret those technical documents for him?
Absolutely.
Somebody from UBC or UVic?
Absolutely. There are experts in British Columbia who would have been happy to participate. But instead what he said is that they are highly technical. He couldn't read them, therefore he considers them the same as hearsay. And he threw them out. This is the decision from our Human Rights Tribunal. I think it is shameful. And there is no appeal. If she appeals, I say we because I feel so invested in this. If she appeals the decision, it will just go back to the tribunal again.
We'll have more with Sharon Noble right after the break.
Hi, I'm Douglas Mason, President and CEO of Rainy Mountain Royalty Corp., RMO, on the TSX Venture Exchange. Rainy Mountain's Brunswick property is located in the Rideout Shear Zone in Ontario, with grab samples running as high as 32 grams per ton gold. A follow-up drill program to test numerous targets located by recent groundwork is planned for early 2018. Please visit our website at rmroyalty.com.
MGX Minerals is revolutionizing the new energy economy with patented lithium extraction technology, replacing traditional solar evaporation using low-cost, low-energy nanofiltration. The first system of this paradigm shift technology is currently being commissioned. MGX Minerals trades on the CSE, symbol XMG, the OTCQB, symbol MGXMF, and Frankfurt, symbol 1MG. For more information, visit our website, mgxminerals.com.
Welcome back. We're speaking with Sharon Graham, or Sharon Grahams. I worked with Sharon for 8 years. Welcome back. We're speaking with Sharon Noble. Sharon, you're very worried about our power system being hacked. Has there been any hacks or attempts to hack our power system?
Oh, I'm sure there have been. We really don't know that much about the ones in Canada. But just a day or so ago, the U.S. Homeland Security released information saying that Russia has infiltrated hundreds of utility power areas in their control rooms and have made their way to the power grid over the last year or so. Hundreds. And the statement is that they got to the point where they could pull the switch on the grid if they wish. Now, the significance of this is, just as James Woolsey, who was the former CIA director, warned a few years ago, and he's been warning over and over and over, we are so dependent on the digital aspect now, where we're all interconnected. If the East Coast goes down, major sections of eastern Canada can go down. And not just for a few hours, not for just a few days. It could be months, many, many months. And as we all know, you start thinking about what you use electricity for, what you need electricity to do for you. I mean, we can't get clean water, food, you name it, without electricity. We are isolated, and he has predicted that millions of people will die when this happens. And he's not saying if it happens. He says when it happens, this will be the next type of attack that will occur. It won't be nuclear bombs. It will be cyber warfare, and the electrical grid is a prime target. And this warning came out saying that even though there have been some security upgrades, and that Homeland Security and other agencies have been warned about this, not enough has been done to protect it. And I have not heard of anything in Canada to suggest that any part of our power grid has been protected. When I've sent these warnings and these articles to federal agencies, to MPs, to provincial agencies and ministers, and to BC Hydro, I haven't received a single response. It's as if they don't want to know. In fact, the only response I received was from the BC Utilities Commission, and they told me that I should rest assured that BC Hydro has encrypted our data. It's not our data I'm talking about. It's the integrity of the grid. James Woolsey and many experts have said, as soon as we started going digital, everything has become vulnerable, and the smart meter is the most vulnerable piece in that grid. If they want to go into the utility companies, and take over, they can. If they want to take over the grid, there are many entry points. And once this happens, it's going to be a very, very sad thing for us. It's very scary. And I just think people need to know that this is happening. It's not getting major news coverage that I've seen. And I think that we need to really put pressure on the Canadian government to either cut ties with the U.S. electrical grid, because they're the prime target. We cut ties with them so that when they go down, we don't, or else we have to spend billions of dollars ensuring that our grid is protected. I don't think we've got that kind of money, and I don't think we've got time enough to do it, frankly, but I don't think we're doing anything.
We'll have more with Sharon Noble right after this.
I'm Brian Fowler, president of Blind Creek Resources Limited, listed on the TSX Venture Exchange, ticker symbol BCK. Blind Creek is focused in the Yukon, Northwest Territories, and British Columbia. The company's key property is the Blend Project, one of the largest undeveloped lead-zinc-silver deposits in Western Canada, plus plans to advance the recently acquired, fully permitted historic engineer gold mine in the Atlan District of Northwestern BC. Check us out at blindcreekresources.com.
Don't miss out. Stay informed. Receive the HowStreet.com weekly recap with thought-provoking podcasts, radio, and articles delivered to your inbox. Sign up for the HowStreet.com weekly recap on our homepage at HowStreet.com.
Welcome back. We're speaking with Sharon Noble. Sharon, New Brunswick has rejected smart meters. Why did they do that?
They just recently did, and they did it because they didn't feel that the benefits justified the costs. This is the very same reason that the BC Utilities Commission rejected the first application for smart meters here in British Columbia in 2008. The benefits just don't cut the mustard. There's no reason to be investing all of this money in technology that, first of all, is very dubious as far as its accuracy, its efficiency, its safety is concerned. And the fact that it was so new when we put it in. Hydro and Fortis put in, I believe, the first generation meters, which are continuing to cause problems in many areas. For instance, with billing accuracies, there are lawsuits going on, for instance, in Maine about this. And in New Brunswick, when they asked the important questions, like, how long will these last? They were told 20 years. And they raised the question, then why are they having to be replaced every 5 to 7 years elsewhere? We didn't ask those questions. We didn't have the opportunity because the Liberal government did not allow any oversight. So there was absolutely no way that once the government pushed this through in 2010, after the BC Utilities Commission rejected it in 2008, there was no way for us to be able to fight it on this issue. And Jim, I'll tell you, I have been asking now for months to see the financial report for the smart meters. I want to know, first of all, how much money has been saved. I want to know also where our fees are being spent. How much have they gathered? The ones for those of us who are paying almost $34 a month. You know, we're paying $32.60. I think my mind boggles because I don't want to think about it, but I think it's $32.60 a month to keep our analog meters. We've been paying this since December of 2013, and there are thousands of us who continue to pay it. I estimate it's over $25 million that they've received in special fees. Where's this money gone? Also, how many smart meters are being replaced? One, because they're faulty, and two, because their lifespan has ended. The estimated lifespan by industry people is 5 to 7 years. This is an ongoing cost, and we don't know. We don't know what it is. But New Brunswick had the benefit of looking at the experience of many areas, different provinces and different states, and they said, nope, it's not worth the money.
Are smart meters in BC overbilling people?
We don't know. We don't know. Many people have seen their bills escalate. Some initially wrote me. At one point, we had a 50-page document with complaints, with examples of people with extremely high bills. And it was submitted to Hydro, and it was submitted to the government, and nothing was done. I have spoken, and I think I've told you this before, with some insiders who admit that the smart meters do run fast, but they said only slightly fast. So the average bill is only $1 or $2 a month higher than it should be. Looking at the fact that there are 1.8 million smart meters in this province, that's a lot of money that's being stolen because the meters are running fast. But when anyone complains, Hydro offers to take their smart meter off, take it to their lab, and test it. And then they charge you $150 when the meter seems to be working perfectly. These meters are computers, and when they're taken off the wall, they reboot themselves to the factory settings. So there's no way to find out if they were running fast on your home. Engineers have told me the appropriate way to test these things is to test them on the home without touching them. But this takes more time and work on behalf of Hydro, and they won't do it. So, Jim, to your answer to your question, I don't know.
So, in other words, BC Hydro could be ripping off customers to the tune of $3.6 million a month.
Potentially. And in Maine, there's a class action lawsuit right now because people have been ripped off to the tune of hundreds of dollars a month by faulty smart meters. And there was a study done in the Netherlands, I believe. The Dutch did a study, and they found that some of the smart meters they tested were overbilling from $30 a month up to $500 a month. I think that if people got their bill that was $500 over, they probably would contest it. But if it's $20 or $30, how would you even know, especially in the summer when you're using air conditioners, or in the winter when you're using more heat? People don't have a way of knowing if your smart meter's running fast. The only way to check for sure is to have an analog running side by side so you can compare it. And I don't know of anybody who's done this. But yeah, based upon what people have told me, Jim, yeah, we could be being ripped off up to $2-3 million a month by hydro.
Does the smart meter run on your power or from hydro's power?
From our power. Supposedly it's just a few cents. That's what I've been told. But that's not the problem. The problem is that the meters themselves can be influenced by other wireless devices, for instance. They can be interfered with. It's a wireless computer on the side of your home. Your cell phone, your Wi-Fi, your cordless phone, anything that's wireless can be interfered with. And it happens quite frequently. The CRTC says that unlicensed, that devices that are not regulated, cannot interfere with other devices. But other devices that are regulated can interfere with them. That means a cell tower or a cell phone, both of which are regulated, could interfere with a smart meter. There was a person over in Salt Spring, and again, I'm sure I told you this before, who wanted to remain anonymous for fear that his daughter could get into trouble. As teenagers are wont to do, she was playing with her cell phone and discovered that she could make the smart meter run backwards. It shows that they can be interfered with. And, most everybody now lives near transmitters. I doubt that there are very few listeners on this program right now who don't have cell towers near enough where they can get cell phone reception. If they can get cell phone reception, there's a possibility that their smart meters could be interfered with. I don't know if that's the only reason for smart meters running fast. I don't believe it is. I think these smart meters are pieces of junk, and they just are not made very well. That is what the insiders told me.
And it's also to the utilities company advantage if they run fast.
Never heard of them running slow.
Sharon, there's a lawsuit against Monsanto for their weed killer Roundup. How is that related to smart meters? It's
related in that, like all industries that have sold toxic and dangerous products, just like the tobacco industry, the asbestos industry, the telecom industry now with their wireless products, are like Monsanto because they hid this information from the public. Monsanto is known for many, many years that Roundup has a dangerous product in it that's considered carcinogenic. Yet they have produced documents that are false. They have scientists who are paid to write articles that mock true science and that mislead their customers. These bent scientists are paid to make real science look meaningless and to fool people into not buying their product. This is happening with wireless devices. We know that since the 1970s there have been scientific articles and studies with the cell phone companies, for instance, that know that their products are dangerous. Yet they won't even allow labels to be put on their products warning people to keep them away from their heads. They're forced by the government to put this in their manual, but they hide it in tiny print somewhere in the manual, knowing that no one's going to read it, saying that these cell phones should be nowhere near your body, any part of your body. They shouldn't be in your pocket. They know that it can kill the sperm in the pocket. They know it can harm the DNA in girls' eggs. They know all these things, but they won't tell the public. And by looking at what's happening with Monsanto, that's being forced to produce these articles in this lawsuit that's ongoing right now, we can suspect the type of information that would be available if the telecom industry, if anyone is ever suing a cell phone company or a Wi-Fi company or any company that's producing any of these dangerous devices. This is typical, and I think we should pay attention to it because lawsuits are starting to happen, and this is what we can expect will happen.
And Sharon, you're the one who broke the story that insurance companies, starting with the world's largest, will not cover damage covered or caused by cell phones. Can you maybe just reiterate that study that you told us about a few years ago, or policy decision?
It's been a number of years now, I would say in the 1990s, I think around 96 or 99, where Lloyd's of London, which is one of the largest insurance companies, people know Lloyd's of London because they will insure the uninsurable. For instance, motorcycle jumpers. I can't remember that guy's name. He tried
Evel Knievel.
Yeah, Evel Knievel. They insured him. They insure the most dangerous occupations. But they decided, close to 20 years ago now, that they will not insure and pay claims for any health-related claim associated with microwave radiation. So cell phone companies, cell tower companies are not insured for this sort of coverage. And people should ask, what do they know? Well, they know, they've seen the science. Insurance companies will not take chances. And they have actuaries who will sit there and look at what the risk is, and the insurance companies have decided that the risk is too great. Lloyd's of London has in their policy a waiver right under their asbestos claim, as a matter of fact, their asbestos waiver, saying that they will not pay any claims associated with microwave radiation. And this means if they won't, very few other insurers will either, because Lloyd's is respected as a very, very well-run company, but it also takes chances. It's a reinsurer, too. That means that when other insurance companies, for instance, like Aetna or Great West Life or Prudential, wants to insure something, but they don't want to insure one portion of it, for instance. Say that you go there for your life insurance, but you do deep sea diving. They may not want to cover you should you have an accident and die during doing your hobby. So they would waive it. And if the person says, well, I'm willing to pay more if you'll cover it, they would go to a reinsurance like Lloyd's of London, and they would pay to have this portion covered. Can't do it with cell phones, can't do it with Wi-Fi, and can't do it with anything else. I think people should be very, very concerned. And this means that for people who are renting off their property, for instance, apartment building owners, people who are renting land to cell companies to put their towers and transmitters on your property, you're liable. When someone becomes ill and they decide they're going to sue you, they will come after the person who owns that property. The companies themselves, the cell phone companies, are indemnified by the government. That means you cannot sue the cell phone companies because the government says they are doing business here and they're following the regulations so long as those emissions are under Safety Code 6 levels. Safety Code 6 being the guideline for the amount of radiation we can be exposed to by a transmitter. And by the way, Canada's guidelines are among the worst in the world. So long as that company is operating under these guidelines, they can't be sued. That doesn't mean that the people who own the property are safe, because they aren't.
Sharon, you're also concerned about Elon Musk's plan to launch satellites that would put 5G coverage across the entire globe so there would be no escape at all from it. What's your concern, and should we be concerned about it?
5G technology is brand new technology that is supposed to make available faster access to data on the Internet. They're going to be using technology that has never been tested, and they're going to be using frequencies, some of which have never been tested. We know that the lower frequencies, from, like 100 megahertz all the way up to, say, 3 gigahertz, those are the most common ranges now that are used. We know those are dangerous. We've got thousands and thousands of studies showing that they're dangerous. But many of these frequencies are not going to be used for 5G. Some of them will be, but the companies are looking for other portions of the spectrum called milliwaves. And these milliwaves are very, very short. They've never been thoroughly tested. The tests that have been done by scientists show that we should be concerned because they don't go as deeply, they don't penetrate the body as deeply, but they do affect the surface layer, the skin, which is the largest organ in our body, and our eyes. So we should be very concerned about this. Elon Musk is now looking at putting up thousands and thousands of satellites that will use 5G technology to ensure, as he says, that every inch of the world has availability and can be reached by cell phone and the Internet. That means that we can't escape it. Anybody who is sick, who has cancer, who has medical devices that could be interfered with, people who just don't want to be exposed, right now can find a few safe places. It's not easy, but they can still find some. But soon, if Elon Musk and the rest of these, quote, visionaries are allowed to go forward, no one's going to be able to escape these things.
So if you have a pacemaker or an insulin pump, you would be vulnerable.
Oh yeah. In fact, you're vulnerable now if you're near any of these wireless devices. Medical devices, as I said earlier, wireless devices can be interfered with. And implants, deep brain implants, pacemakers, many of the medical implants, and science is wonderful. It's coming up with these new gadgets all the time, but they can be interfered with. If you notice when you go to an airport, for instance, they ask you before you go through the scanner if you have any of these medical devices. You shouldn't go through it. People their pacemakers, for instance, can stop working or cause major problems, which raises another issue. I have been asked by a researcher in the U.S. to ask if there's anybody listening who knows or is someone who has worked in an airport around the body scanners that people are forced to go through. Not the metal ones that detecting you just walk through quickly, but the full body scanners now that they're using, that the U.S. Homeland Security is requiring. If anybody has worked with them or around them and has developed a health problem that they believe is due to this scanner, this researcher wants to be contacted. And rather than give her contact information out, if anyone would like to get in touch with her, I wish they would email me at dsnoble@shaw.ca and put body scanner on the subject line, and I'll give you the contact information. The milliwaves that these scanners use are very similar in many respects to the milliwaves that will be used by 5G technology. And as I said, the science has not had a lot of opportunity to study to see what the health effects are. But the studies that have been done show that they are dangerous. And I have heard, I don't have any statistics, but I have heard that the increase of cancer in people working around these scanners is pretty high.
Sharon, thank you so much for chatting with us. And can you remind people about your website?
Yes, our website is www.stopsmartmetersbc.com. And I thank you very much, Jim, for the opportunity.
My guest has been Sharon Noble, Director of the BC Coalition to Stop Smart Meters. You're listening to the Goddard Report on TalkDigitalNetwork.com. Find us on Twitter at TalkDigitalNet. Our YouTube channel is Talk Digital Network. Questions for the show or our guests, like Sharon, can be sent to info@HowStreet.com. I'm Jim Goddard. Thanks for listening.
Comments made on the Goddard Report and TalkDigitalNetwork.com are an expression of opinion only. The Goddard Report is available online and mobile at TalkDigitalNetwork.com. The Goddard Report is a production of How Street Media Incorporated.